Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry we are getting started a little late today. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up or something in the chat box so I'll know that I am being heard. My apologies on today. I was having trouble logging into StreamYard this morning. Thank you, Anand. Hello there. So we didn't get a chance to. Hello, Marsha. Thank you. Um, yeah, we didn't get a chance to get our numbers before the market opened, but um, we will get good morning a royal diadem. All right, but we know that the market yesterday for the mini, the slash ES was 50.15. Yesterday's close for SPX was 5,000. Hello, Patrick. Um, so when we get to the Mancini numbers, which we'll do that first since the market just opened, I will go to that first. So let's start there. This is what Mancini today put for Twitter. Yesterday, my plan in SPX was simple backtest. Actually, that should be the 50.13, which was where we broke down on Tuesday. We hit, we hit quite literally in the final minutes yesterday. Plan today, keep running longs until trailed 5,003 support, 5,013 to 5,019.21 is next. Dip zone before 50.30. If 5,003 fails, we work down to 49.95, 49.85. So the most important number is 5,003 for support. So that's what we'll be looking at in terms of the 15-minute chart, which I will just drop a 5,003 on here and do it this way. And we'll change the color real quick. And we'll go 5,003. So I'll put that on the chart. So throughout the day, when I'm looking at that, I'll have an idea of where it needs to, if it'll come back down, I'll know it. So far today, though, it opened at 5,003 and pushed up right away. So we will be coming back to this until we conclude. Okay. So remember 5,003 is the higher number on that, but you can expect to see some of everything in between there. But the lowest number being 49.85, according to this. Really 50.21 being the higher number, but I think he's basically saying here that the highest would be 50.30. So I'm assuming he's seeing some resistance on the way up there. And then I will drop this in the Telegram groups and I will make that change right there before I put that in there. So we'll have that. Let's take a look at the Forex first because some of this is already kicked off. So we're still waiting on some numbers. So some of this already happened, but in fact, what we can do, what we can do is go to the Forex Factory site and look at some of this stuff live. But so here's what we had going on though. We got at 8:30, there was core retail sales, red folder. We had a bunch of red and orange folders this morning. Empire State Manufacturing Index was a red folder, retail sales month over month, and unemployment claims. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index was an orange folder. We had the import prices month over month, which was a yellow folder. All of that was at 8:30. 9:15, we had the industrial production month over month, which was orange folder, and then the capacity utilization rate. At 10 o'clock, though, we have the business inventories month over month. Now, these last two were yellow folders. The NAHB housing market index is a yellow folder. Natural gas storage is a yellow folder, and that's at 10:30. All right. Then 1 o'clock, orange folder. FOMC member Waller speaks. So that's something to be made aware of. Orange folder at 1:15. And then after close, we got the tick long-term purchases and the FOMC member Bostic speaks. Those are two yellow folder, and Bostic speaks at 7 o'clock. So we will be nice and out of the market during that time. Hopefully, we keep our fingers crossed. Let me say it that way because y'all know how it works. We'll be out of the market, but that don't mean that what's happening won't affect us. What I'm pulling up right now is this is an updated version of the things that I just described. I'm looking for the filter for this, and we'll just do the United States. Do it that way. So we can see like what the updated numbers are so far. So this is for today. So the core retail sales was lower. So if you haven't seen this whole setup before, right here is going to tell you you can get this for multiple countries, but we narrow it down to the United States. But it's going to tell you what the actual numbers reported was, what it was forecasted, and what it was previously. So in this case, 0.2% was a forecast, negative 0.6% is what it was actually reported. So this was lower than forecast. Usually when you see red, for the most part, that's not good for the economy. That's generally how I have interpreted those things. Empire State Manufacturing Index was in this case, this is negative 13.7, but this is negative 2.4. And so this was better than predicted, according to this. The retail sales was lower than forecast. Unemployment claims, this was, according to this, better than was predicted. The Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, also better than predicted or forecasted. And then import prices month over month was better. The industrial production month over month was lower than, but not by much. And the capacity utilization rate is lower than what was forecast. Now, I will say this, though, if you haven't seen this setup before, what you can do is if you go over here to where it says detail, this detail column, and you click on the detail column, it's going to give you a bunch of information. But the most important information, obviously, is right here, because it's going to tell you what the source is. It's going to tell you what it measures, change in price of imported goods and services purchased domestically for this import prices. And then it'll say actual greater than forecast is good for currency. So when the actual is greater than the forecast, that's good for currency. And then over here is going to give you the past, dates that it came out, and then what the actual results were. And so what we use this information for, especially, is when we're back testing certain things, like the CPI and the PPI, and even when, like, let's say Powell is speaking, if we want to see, do a back test, we can always go back to that particular line. Like, this is PPI. So we wanted to go and back test PPI, for example, and see, what happened on these particular days. You can always just go, PPI month over month, and then you can go to these specific days and back test based on this, based on these actual days. So that's how we tend to use that. But as of right now, you have this is the most updated that we have right now, and we will check out. So this is investing.com, which is the other site. Again, we have a lot of stuff. So most of this stuff right here is all our normal stuff that we just named. The only difference is they added a couple extra details in there with this year over year, month over month for January for the export and import prices. You have initial jobless claims 4-week average, which is 1 star. The initial jobless claims here was 3 stars. This is the New York Manufacturing Index for February and the Philly. That's 2 stars and 3 stars. You got the Philly Fed business condition, which is 1 star. And then you have a run of 1 and 2 stars, mostly 1 stars. For Philly Fed, the CapEx, employment, new orders, and prices paid. And that's again 1 and 2 stars. Notice that the employment is a 2-star one. And then we have the retail control month over month for January. And then the retail sales, which is the retail control is 2 stars here, 3 stars for the retail sales month over month, and 1 star for the retail sales year over year. We also got, this is all still from 8/30, retail sales, excluding gas and autos for month over month for January. If you notice, most of the data that's coming through, obviously, is coming through, a month after everything happens, you know what I'm saying? So you never really get any of the information real time, you know what I'm saying? So we get it a month later and then it's reacted to based on that. But you got industrial production year over year for January and month over month for January. And then those are 2 stars. Manufacturing production month over month, which is 1 star. And then we got business inventories month over month for December, which is 2 stars. This is the NHB housing market index. That's 1 star. Retail inventories, excluding auto, for December is 2 stars. And that was all happening at 10:30 natural gas storage. And then 11:30, we have 2 auctions, the 4-week bill auction and the 8-week bill auction. 1 o'clock is the Atlanta Fed GDP Now Q1, and that's 2 stars. At 1:15, Fed Waller speaks. That's 2 stars over here. And then you have a list of at market close. We have a list of 4 o'clock, 4:30 events, 1 and 2 stars. So we got U.S. foreign buying T-bonds for December, the overall net capital flow for December, the tick long-term transactions for December, that's the 2 star. The tick net long-term transactions, including swaps for December, which is 1 star. 4:30, there's a 2 star Fed balance sheet. And then 1 star is the reserve balances with the Federal Reserve banks. And then the last 2 star, which was way late, like 7 o'clock, is the FOMC member Bostic speaks, and that's 2 stars. And I will say this, these 1 and 2 stars, even though we're out of the market at this time, these are still things that can impact what happens the next day for the market open. So that's always, that's why we always got to keep in mind, even though we're out the market, we still have things that are happening. Those things definitely can have an impact on what's happening. We'll go right here next. So this is what's happening in the pre-market. This is the Dow futures. It's currently up 0.28%. S&P futures up 0.13%. NAS futures is down slightly, 0.09% for right now. Last reported for Asia was actually mostly up. ASX 200 was up 0.77%. The Nikkei was up the second most at 1.21%. Kospi was the only one down at 0.25%. HSI Hong Kong was up 0.41%. And Shanghai was up the most at 1.28%. The Nikkei actually closed above 38,000 for the first time since 1990. And if you recall, I'm not saying that they're I'm not saying that they're equally comparable, but I do find it interesting that the S&P 500 also has been riding super high, the highest that it has been in a while as well. So Europe was all up. Last reported, the DAX was up 0.40%. FTSE was up 0.12%. CAC up 0.74% currently. No, that was last reported. FTSE Milano up 0.84%, and Stock 600 was up 0.45%. So FTSE Milano, which is Italy, was up the highest of that group. The European stocks are higher. United Kingdom GDP figures show economy fell into a technical recession. This definitely impacts us. All of these markets are tied together in many ways. All economies are intertwined in a lot of ways. Right now, the Dow Jones is up 0.44%. The S&P 500 is up 0.25%. NASDAQ is down slightly, 0.04%. The Russell 2000 is up the most so far at 0.98%, and the VIX is down 0.97% to 1424. So the stock futures rise slightly as market rally seeks to regain momentum. This is SPX. And we have hit the first 15 minutes. So it opened, and the first candle opened at 5,003, and the highest is 5011. We're gonna wait to see what happens. There hasn't been any type of definitive breakout, but we know that there's a gap right here, a small gap from 5,000 up to 5,003, which we know that with SPX, that's not a lot of money for it to be able to fill a gap that's that small. So we know that can if you have any tickers, drop them in the chat if you want us to look at everything. Hello, Patrick. Looks like Deanja, Karen, Tamar, Janae, Lisa, Lady T. Again, Miss Tamar sending a shout out to Lady T. So if you are so inclined, if you have again any tickers, let us know. And before we part ways, we will check out your tickers. We have earnings for this morning. You may very well see some of the movement happening before market today. Was Crocs, John Deere, EPAM, Yeti, Penn National, Oatly, PBF, Wendy's, InterDigital, and Alchemies. And then after close today will be DraftKings, Coinbase, Roku, The Trade Desk, Applied Materials, DoorDash, Agnico, Eagle, Toast, Open Door, and Hannon Armstrong. I would imagine that consumer discretionary, if you follow the sector ETFs, I would think that DraftKings would be something of note. And definitely Coinbase, I would expect some type of something interesting happen also because Bitcoin has been going up. So Friday morning we may see some I would expect to see some movement with those, possibly the Trade Desk and Applied Materials, because Applied Materials is in but I believe they're in the semiconductor space. So I would expect to see some of those having some type of movement tomorrow morning. So I see Intel and I see XSP. All right. Then we announced our calendar. Again, I should introduce myself for those who wasn't here yesterday. I'm Jamie Irvin. I am filling in for Alyssa. We have on our calendar to say a special prayer for our Alyssa today. So please make sure you do that. I'm assuming that she will share the details of about what when she returns. We are having our small account challenge currently with E2T. So that is, we are here. We got about 2 weeks left, and I would imagine that we're still. I can't see why we wouldn't be having people still able to join. I like the challenge because it's not us versus each other. It's really just us versus ourselves, and you just using strategies and repeating strategies to hopefully build you some consistency is what that's all about. This is still the 15-minute chart for SPX, and I just want to mark this was a gap from 212, so about 3 days ago. So it is trying to fill this gap currently on the 15-minute chart. So that's what's happening right here. So I want to make sure that I mark that that's what's happening. But it is still barely above where its high point was. So there hasn't been a breakout yet. XSP in case you are not familiar, XSP is the mini, MINI, not MANY. Excuse me. The SPX mini options, and so its chart is going to look exactly like the S&P 500 because it is made up of the same thing. So the things that we see for S&P 500, it will look very, very, very identical. In this case, obviously, the past months, there's been a run up on the S&P 500. It is actually at highs right now. So, and how we can tell that is if we go to the month and we look at the monthly view, which is the higher concentration of our prices for our chart, we can see that this is the past high point, and it has broken through that, or more accurately to say, this is the recent high point. But if you want to go all the way back, you could go back and see how far. Let me think, because I only got 5 years. Even if I put 10 years in, it's still at a high. And so this is the quickest way to tell where the current price is just by looking at the monthly view and then just seeing where that price is. And then when you drill down to the daily, that lets you know whether or not you got to go back in time in order to do your charting. But as of right now, this is at all-time highs right now. There's a very nice formation right here in the buyer zone. 477 for XSP. If when it comes down, I'm expecting 477, 470 in here. So when it comes back down, I would expect it to have some support at 477. And the reason I know, or the reason why I'm saying that, is because this is where price turned around previously. And so now that it's above that price, if it comes back down, it should have some support and stand on that. I would imagine it would be either, well, I definitely think it should be 477. There should be some support there, but 459 as well, because the price turned around here as well. There's been movement in the past at that amount as well. And again, don't forget, this is a zone. These are zones, but we're just marking, what we see as the turnaround points. So on the monthly chart, that's what I would be marking this first because the price should hit that first. Weekly. So when it comes down, I'm expecting it to stop. When I say stop, I just mean have some type of support, or there should be a break. It may bounce off, it may go right through there, but there are definitely some buyers sitting in here. So then on the daily, what I would say is that this is in a seller zone. Now we'll mark it this way. This leg in, base, and a gap down for a leg out. All right. And this leg can also be used as the base for the buyer zone. Oops. Trying to do activate. So up here, you got leg in, base, leg out. And that's the seller zone formation up here. But then you can use that same leg out. It was just a gap down, technically. And then I would do like this. So I would do that. This was a chair formation right here that it already went through. So this is bouncing off that seller zone for XSP. I know that there are people who would look at the 4 hour. So let's look at the 4 hour. I think that the daily has a better clarity on what the formations are. But this definitely shows that it's still bouncing off regardless on the 4 hour. So to me, it's sandwiched in between, basically sandwiched in between two zones, really. So I would be keeping my eye on that. It wasn't that great. It wasn't that major of a pullback right here. But I will say this though. We'll duplicate this. Say, I will be keeping my eye on this one as well. Just to be on the safe side. This will be the next one down. This has a lot. This is a nice size. I guess technically it's not as much as it looks. It's only like $6, but this would be the next buyer zone down. The thing to keep in mind about these, when stocks are at its highs like this, it can be unpredictable when it starts getting to these all-time highs, because you don't always know where it's going to turn around. Once it gets past a certain point, there hasn't been sellers that high, so you don't know where it'll turn around. So I always tell people to be careful, especially at least when you have other stocks that are not at all-time highs. You can sometimes go back and look and say, oh, there's been a higher price before, so we can chart that. But with these at all-time highs, you don't always have that previous information to go by. And so you don't know if this thing is gonna, pull back some more, or if it's just gonna skyrocket out, because we don't have that past information to go on. But this is the same as, like I said, the SPX. So the SPX is also in the seller zone. So that's something to keep an eye on. I don't love this formation down here, because I don't like this small little leg in, but we're not going to get into that. But that's what I have in terms of XSP is this zone on top of zone on the daily for right now. So if you got a question on XSP, just drop it in the chat box, and I will go back to the chart for you. This is Intel, and Intel is trying to fill a gap. Intel is trying to fill a gap. That's what this is doing. And yesterday we talked about when it comes to filling a gap, some people go by the body. When the like a fuller body is filling up the space, then they consider that full. Other people go by the wick and say as long as the wick is pushing through the gap, then that's considered that it's going through the gap. I have mostly been I like to go by price action. So to stay consistent, I consider the wick to be that it filled, just because that's where the price went. So I consider that to be a place where it went through. But I do understand the argument on the other side. For this right here, there's also a gap here. So for Intel, there's a gap above it. This is this is the actual gap. That's 49 to 45. So that's about a $4 gap right there. And then it's probably not even that's not even a $1 gap right here. Let me pull this over and blow this up so you can see it. Right, so I'm just marking the gaps. That's not the seller zone formation. I'm just marking the purple is just where the price gapped, and it gapped down here, so that's a seller's gap that it needs to fill going up. And then recently it gapped here, which is the buyer's gap because price jumped up. And you can say the same thing for right here. There's another gap right here. It's just smaller, but it is there. So a little bit of resistance in between there. But to avoid confusion, I'm just going to take these out because if you're going to do a formation, like chart an actual formation, this would be a buyer zone formation anyway. Right? So if you're going to do, people do their formations differently too, but leg in, base, leg out, this would be a formation right here. And it's still technically in the buyer zone, right? And when I say it, I'm talking about like this formation is in the buyer zone in comparison to all this other stuff. This is still a buyer zone. Up here at the top, though, what I would be charting in terms of like a zone, like our standard seller zone, it would be this for Intel. So it'll be leg in, 2 in the base, and then this gap down will be the leg out. That's how I would do that. Right? Leg in, 2 in the base, leg out. Or you could also do it this way. This one would be the leg in. This will be the base, and this could be the leg out. So you can do that either way. I personally don't like leg ins that are not like stronger, more solid leg ins, but you take what the defense gives you. So it's leg in, this is base, and this would be the gap down, would be the strong push. So don't assume that price is just going to jump right through there, right through this gap. In fact, I don't even know if Intel is a one spread or not, but I don't think it is. So $1.33 is the average true range. So the range that Intel would travel in a day is $1.33. So if this is about 45 to 49.53, yeah, I don't see that traveling $4 in one day. So I don't think it'll just shoot right through here unless there's some news or something like that that would push it through there. But also earlier when we first got started, remember I was talking about where price would turn around. So price turned around here. It was resistance. This was a resistance price. And then it went through it, but it came back to it again, and it was support. And it was support more than once. And it took a force of sellers to push it down. So now we coming back to it again, and this is resistance. So this price point right here, 45.51, when you see the price, going from resistance to support, that's called parity. And when you see a parity price line, that's a sign that there might be a strong price point there. And also, since this turned around here, I mean, even going up, there's going to be some resistance right there anyway. More than likely, it just depends on what's happening. But since these sellers push down, there's definitely definitely expect some sellers in here. This was a very strong push. I don't know if somebody is currently trading, but this was a very strong push off of here from the sellers. So not only did it gap down, but man, on that next day when it went up, tried to go back up, I mean, it really got rejected. And it got rejected. That zone got rejected again right here. So I'll just say I wouldn't be in a rush to buy a call right now. Let me just say that, because it's plenty of rejection happening recently. But those are the numbers that I have. Seller zone up here, buyer zone right here, with some gaps in between. So that's definitely, man, I might have to look at Intel to trade, man. Thank you, Lady T, for dropping it in there. I'm about to do some paying attention of Intel. Let me see. Tomorrow, what is tomorrow? The 16th? I'm about to do some peeking. All right. Let's swing back to any more tickers. If got any more tickers? She said, I have a PCS and I wanted to open the CCS on the other side. I can't say I blame you. I was gonna add to that. Oh, we're gonna look at SPX again, see what it's doing. On the 15-minute chart. So if you recall, this right here was the Mancini amount. This is the gap that's happening up here. So the 15-minute, where the open and the close, it hasn't really done too much, right? So if you're trading the breakout, this is a 10-11. You're trying to trade the breakout. This hasn't done anything. Hello, Deborah Moore. This hasn't done anything in terms of the breakout strategy if you are trading that. And I know different people have different strategies, but for that first 15 minutes-ish, you don't have anything going. So there's that. All right. I don't see any more tickers. So I am going to, and we did earnings. This is Stock Forex Factory. Okay. Anybody got anything else before we part ways? Any more tickers? Nobody to feel shortchanged. All right. If you are interested, educatortotrader.com is where you can join the membership that we have, and we would love to have you. We have a community of people that roll together, trade together daily. So if you are interested, that same website, Educated the Trader, that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen for the small account challenge is same one you can use to join the membership. So feel free to do so. I definitely can say I have enjoyed being able to interact with people on a daily basis because of it. So a couple things to keep, one other thing to keep in mind, if you are trading XLK and SOXL, I would say any semiconductor stock. TSMC shares hit record high after Morgan Stanley lifts client NVIDIA's price target on AI chip command. So what this is saying is Morgan Stanley lifted the price target for NVIDIA. So you might say, well, why would that affect TSMC? So earlier I was asking if anybody ETFDB. This is a website, ETFDB.com is one website. There's a group of websites, but if you want to look and see what's inside of an ETF, what they're holding, one website you can go to is ETFDB.com. I don't know if this, I think this should, I don't know if this is gonna make a clickable link or not, but I'm gonna put the link at the bottom. Hopefully that's clickable, but etfdb.com, and you can go and just type in the ETF. In this case, let's say, for example, because you'll probably hear me say either XLK or SOXL. SOXL is a good example too. But SOXL is probably a better example because XLK includes a bunch of other stuff. So, and I'm just saying why, like it's very important to kind of be aware of the competition in the space when you are trading it. So this ETF is SOXL. It's the semiconductor ETF, right? Now we were just looking at Intel, which is right here. Earlier we were looking at for the earnings, and I believe this one, AMAT, which is Applied Materials, is having earnings, right? Here's Taiwan Semiconductor. So if NVIDIA, which has a higher holding, moves up or down, obviously that's going to impact SOXL, right? Because it's held within here. But the thing is, so that's one aspect of it. Any other when you're looking at the ETFs, the competitors are all going to be held in there, so they do impact each other somehow to a degree. But here's the thing: whenever you see TSM, these people are the people in a lot of cases that are making the chips that these other ones created. So if NVIDIA is going to get a higher, if the analyst is going to rate them higher, then the people who are making their chips, their stock might jump too. And Taiwan Semiconductor is making chips for they're basically the go-to outsourcing. You know, if you don't like when AMD used to have their own factories, AMD's stock price used to be like $14, and they got the new person in charge, and she basically, if I recall right, start outsourcing stuff to Taiwan Semiconductor. So yeah, this is they got some work coming their way. Let me just say it that way. So anytime you're looking at an ETF, this is one spot you can come to. I mentioned XLK earlier, and the reason why I didn't go to them directly is because XLK is the overall technology. So they're going to have Microsoft and Apple and NVIDIA and AMD and Adobe and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a mixture of just overall tech that's going to be in there. But SOXL is more so semiconductors, the same as SMH. But XLK, anything with like XLK, XLI, those are sector ETFs. So, you know, that's again basket of stocks, but concentrated for a particular area. Anyway, before y'all get to falling asleep with y'all computers, that's that. So we're gonna run back over here. So this has went up. It looks like it's trying to push up on the 15-minute chart. This is SPX again. There is a gap up here at 50.15. So no idea if it'll bounce off this gap and shoot down or whatever. But if you're trying to trade the 15-minute, well, as I say that, it starts pushing down. So anyway, I don't know. I probably definitely wouldn't do nothing above it. That's for sure. But we got all these things happening throughout the day, so that'll be something that could be a bit of a rodeo. All right, so let me get y'all out of here. On this is E2T Daily Declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me because money is comfortable around me. It is drawn to me. E2T Daily Prayer, Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. All right, everybody. If you are interested, there is a charting webinar that is available for free. It is called Start with the Chart. And you know, if you are either new to charting or just want to get some extra charting tips or ideas, startwiththechart.com. And I'm gonna put this one in the box as well. Startwiththechart.com. Let me see. Oh, I guess I can't put it in there. All right. It's startwiththechart.com. That's what it is. So I'm going to let you all go. Remember, stay green, get this money. That is our motto and our goal. And we will see you all tomorrow. You all have a great trading day. And if you're in the Telegram group, we will drop the Man City numbers in there. Otherwise, you all have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.